And the top news today, residents across the East Coast are cleaning up in the aftermath of Hurricane Irene. But today, August the 29th, marks the 6th anniversary of Katrina's landfall on the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana, where the Category 5 storm caused devastation that's still evident today. Community Center of San Bernard Parish Executive Director Iray Nabatoff joins us by phone to discuss the progress. Mr. Nabatoff, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now, it's been 6 years since Katrina hit. What does San Bernard Parish look like today, sir?
Well, the parish now has half the population that lived here pre-Katrina. In many ways, the haves have come back through their own resources, have rebuilt. The reality is that it's a new normal, and many of the trappings of their existence that they knew before the storm have irrevocably altered and changed. And for renters and families that are facing the downturn of the economy, the effects of the oil spill, and or didn't get enough road home money to rebuild, it's a later phase of an ongoing crisis.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, tell us, how did the community center at San Bernard get started?
Well, the first week in January '06, I signed on to an 18-day commitment to work at a relief kitchen in Araby, directly next to New Orleans' Lower Ninth Ward. All I knew was I was going to be living in a tent in the winter in Louisiana for 18 days. It turned out it was in the midst of total catastrophic devastation, and I rationalized no matter how arduous it was only 18 days, and I had a home to return to. Unfortunately, well, the reality was at the end of the 18 days, I couldn't walk away. Everything was in what you would call response mode, which means by nature is very temporary. The resources were temporary, the needs were incredibly long-term, and I felt compelled to go back to New England, shut down my home and my life, and return. And through community outreach at the relief kitchen and community meetings we started there, where 1,500 families signed a resolution in support of the creation of the center, realizing they had long-term needs and would need a vehicle to meet those needs, the community center started.
Well, now, of course, you should be long past response mode for those emergencies, but what kind of services does the community center offer now? And tell us a little bit about how many folks you still serve.
Okay, well, last year, the community center served 5,300 unduplicated families and individuals. What we do is we are a Second Harvest partner and run a food pantry, a clothing bank, an internet media lab, some financial and computer literacy courses, some community socialization events, and then regionally, and what we've called to term our community connections model, we seek out relevant partners across the greater New Orleans area from the nonprofit, for-profit, and faith-based sector and scholastic sector to pool their resources with us, leave their fiefdoms, if you will, and in a non-duplication of services, make more things available for families and individuals that still have great needs, as I said, post-Katrina, post-Rita, post the oil spill and the downturn of the economy. It's really, to the best of our ability, we have created a one-stop nonprofit shop. The local government comes here to do sign-ups for special needs evacuations. In the case there is an evacuation, if you're handicapped and you need help, they come and do sign-ups. The weatherization program comes and does sign-ups. The Office of Family Support comes to help with the food stamp program because they haven't seen fit, the state, to reopen an Office of Family Support, a welfare office in the parish since the storm.
Well, now, since you are that one-stop, since you are filling that gap, in your experience, have the government agencies designed to help these citizens come through on their promises?
It really, to whatever degree we are in a recovery, it has been championed and led by the faith-based and the nonprofit sector. Government is still not the primary source of solutions. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you whether it's they don't get it or it's not one of their priorities, but, the volunteers, nonprofits, and faith-based organizations have been leading the way in this recovery, or this attempt to get to a recovery.
Let me go over something you've kind of alluded to in some of your other answers here. Now, how did the Gulf oil spill of the Macondo well in 2010 affect the lives of the families that your center serves?
Well, I mean, it's the ripple effects through the local economy, this coming after the great economic downturn that the whole country and, in fact, the world is experiencing. It's, if you're a fisherman, you're out of work. If you're an ice house or a wholesaler, you're out of work. If you're the grocery store or the luncheonette where people would buy groceries or have lunch, it's all through the economy that, everybody is hurting because the money that would go into the economy through the resources of the Gulf Coast and the fishing industry just aren't happening. The Gulf Coast catches are, the shrimp is smaller than before the storm. What they're paying per pound at the dock is less than before Katrina. And I mean, it costs, say, $1,000 to fill up your boat with diesel and go out, and you bring home $700 worth of shrimp. You can't do that for long. That's not sustainable.
That doesn't work for very long.
The oyster crops are down. One of the reasons is they had the freshwater diversion trying to keep the oil at bay and out of the estuaries. Well, the fresh water, the oysters need a certain amount of the brackish salt water just for them to survive.
Sure, and we're experiencing some of that ourselves.
It's diminished. Right. It's killed off oyster beds, and like I say, on every level there are questions that have yet to be fully defined as well as answered as far as the long-term effects.
Well, Mr. Nabatoff, I have one quick question for you because we're quickly running out of time. We know that you've been very creative with ways to fund the center, including your participation in the AARP's Foundation's Hunger Hero Award for 2011, where you're one of the 5 finalists. How can our listeners help you win?
Well, they can go to tinyurl.com/AARP Hunger and vote. They can vote once a day between now and September 24th. CCSTB.org is our website. If they want to see our documentary, tinyurl.com/5YRSKCARING. 5 Years of Caring is the documentary. I would love for people to see it.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Nabatoff. We appreciate you joining us today on this sad occasion as it was. For more information on the San Bernard Community Center and how you can help, go to ccstb.org.